Okay, so let's go through the answer of the target question on the previous page. So where would you exit on the trade? We're obviously going short here because the chart's going down and we're not going to want to lose by buying at that entry price. So we are selling at that entry price. And our target rule is that we trail immediately from pivot highs. So here with entry, we immediately start looking at pivot highs. Where are the pivot highs forming? So after each bar has completed, we are waiting for pivot highs. So no pivot highs have been formed yet, and our stop will still be at the original stop, wherever that would be. Again, we are not really talking about the stop right now, we're talking about our trailing stop. So wherever the original stop is, we'll just take that as a given. As I'm marking out every single bar, we're going to look at whether any pivots are forming. No pivots have formed so far. Could this be a pivot being formed? At the completion of the bar being indicated right now, we can see that this green bar right here is a pivot high. Why? Because we've got a lower high to the left and a lower high to the right. Therefore, this high here is a pivot high. So once this red bar has completed here, we identify the pivot, and wherever the stop is, we would move it down to this pivot high. So with the stop around about here, above the pivot high, we will carry on and see whether we need to move the stop anywhere else. So as these bars are being completed, we are looking out for pivot highs. Still not a pivot high, but once this red bar completes, we see that this green bar right here is a pivot high. Why? Because we have a lower high to the left and a lower high to the right. Therefore, this high here is a pivot high. Now note how we're not paying attention to the pivot low that has formed here, with a higher low to the right and a higher low to the left, because we are trailing for a short position. Therefore, we will be trailing only by highs. As in the target rule, we are only paying attention to highs. So we move our stop to this pivot high. And now we continue. Has a pivot formed yet? No. Now what we have to remember is that our stop is here, at this price. So when the red bar here rises above that price, we get stopped out. So whenever we move our stop lower, if price goes above that price, we will get stopped out and we will buy back our position at a profit. So as indicated, the trailing stops move to each pivot high. Note how we have indicated the move of a stop from our entry to the first pivot high that was formed. Now the reason being is because at some point in this area, we would have moved our stop to break even, which is the entry price. That is why we are indicating the stop being moved from our entry price to the first pivot high. And of course, we exit, as indicated, when the red bar crosses above the stop price, and we come out at a nice profit. Okay, so that was a good example there. So if you move over to the next page, we'll go through another example.